This is Slashers, a horror movie podcast brought to you by two goons with nothing better to do. I lost it. We had a new line. You remember that,
Oh,
Brian?
that's right.
Fuck, I forgot
What
what it
was
was.
it?
Watching the old movies so
So
you
you
don't
don't
have
have
to.
to.
Something. Well, we're taking fan submissions to our new subtitle. I realized it was bullshit to say, on whatever night we record this week because we literally have a segment called Warm Up Wednesday
Or Wednesday warm-ups.
or Warm Up Wednesday.
You be the judge.
Rabbit season, duck season. I thought if I try it long enough, I'm going to get Brian to say it. So, Brian, I should introduce you. Go back. Rewind sound effect. And with me, as always, is my esteemed colleague, co-host, and cohort, Brian. Brian, say hello to the mutant goons from beyond.
Hey, what's going on, people?
Brian, how's your week?
Not too bad. I feel like I'm one of those first world Californians where I was complaining about the cold weather one week, and now I'm like, oh, it's too hot outside.
Yeah, I could definitely empathize. Like, I walked out of my air-conditioned office, and I was like, oh, it was so chilly in there. And I sat in the car, and I was like, oh, this is nice. The warmth is nice. And then 5 seconds later, I was like, God, the heat is bullshit.
Yeah, it's definitely an in-between phase for me as far as I wake up in the morning, go to work. I still have a beanie on, and then I don't know, about 11:30 comes around, I'm like sweating balls outside.
Yeah. Unlike Brian, I wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy. Kesha?
Okay.
You know Kesha?
Huh?
You wash it, was it, brush my teeth with a bottle of Jack? You don't know that?
What is this Kesha you speak of?
Kesha was my theme song in law school. I once was briefing a case for my contracts professor, and I was like, blah, 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 because I was moving along. He's like, you don't blah, blah, blah. And so her song, blah, 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 was very popular at
Is
the
that an
time.
actual song?
Yeah. Come on,
God,
dude.
people come up with the weirdest names for songs.
It's a great song. It's
Hmm.
classic. It
Give me
is
something
the
a little more
Bohemian
creative than
Rhapsody of
blah, blah, blah.
2010.
The fuck? Did it really come out in 2010? You just throwing it out there.
No, I know for certain it did.
Fuck, man. You know your Kesha.
Because it was the year that I started law school.
Fair enough.
Makes me feel incredibly old now that I say that out loud, but that's neither here nor there. Ah, man. I forgot to do the intro properly because I am an asshole.
Oh, we doing the
tagline?
tagline. What the fuck was it? Like, get ready, New York, or some shit?
There's a couple of them, but this one was just when you thought you'd seen it all. This is Slashers. I just got so excited. It was lights, camera, action.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
got lights, you got cameras, you got under the table action. Brian's
Well,
jacking me off with his feet right now.
I mean, to be fair, this movie goes right into fucking insanity. So there's not really any kind of buildup. It just goes right into it. So in a way, you're kind of going off of the movie.
Yeah, there is no plot in this film whatsoever.
Well, I don't know. I digress. I feel like it's maybe subplots.
Yeah. These are like SNL sketches that were made by somebody on PCP, and then
Agreed.
they just put them together.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this morning actually, I had mentioned to you. I feel like this this movie was made by a art major at a junior college for his final project.
And I was like, that's because it was. The film, I don't know if many of you know this, we're doing Street Trash from 1987. Now, the film actually started as a short film that was done by, what's his name? James Muro.
James Muro.
Muro Jr. The senior was an executive producer, bankrolled by daddy. He was only 22 at the time. So he did the short film, and then based on that, they made the full film. Pretty much the exact same thing. They just added a bunch of junk, which shows you why, because the plot doesn't continue through. It's just other plots that they put on.
Yeah, I feel like they have one plot, and then they're like, okay, let's deal with this shit. And then they wrap up for the day. And then they wake up the next morning and they're like, you know what? I changed my mind. Let's do something else.
Yeah, I was. So there's a book that Roy Frumkes had helped co-write, I guess. I'm not exactly sure his full involvement in it, but he was talking about how they had a lengthy shooting style. And so the way that they did the movie on their own, they crowdfunded 35 grand that they then took to investors after they made stuff. And his whole point in his book was, you need to do the fucking work. You don't go to executive producers like, hey, I got this idea. You go to them with something. which is crazy to think because this movie's fucking shenanigans, and yet they had this like very savvy business acumen.
Yeah, that's really cool. I don't feel like it really shows in the film.
No, not at all.
So, I mean, it would be cool if there's some way to translate that. Although at the same time, the visual effects I thought were pretty sweet.
Yeah, they are absolutely gnarly, and funny enough, so the
It's like an actual genre, right? Like
yeah, it's
melting,
melt movies.
melt movies.
There are like 4 or 5 of them that
I
are
feel
pretty
like that's
prevalent.
some weird fucking fetish film. Like, yeah, this is a melt film.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Getting icky. So, Jennifer Aspinall, who did, Toxic Avenger, Spookies, Twisted Souls, she had just done Toxic Avenger, she came over and did this movie, and funny enough, Lloyd Kaufman, director and, Troma star, uh, who wrote the book, All I Learned About Filmmaking, I Learned from the Toxic Avenger, he hates this movie, and it's amazing. Like, I hadn't occurred to me that people would be so up their own ass in the '80s. And wow, the producer of this film and Lloyd Kaufman have exchanged shots across the bow for 30 years.
Wow, that's crazy. I think that wasn't the junkyard dude in Toxic Avenger. Was it the junk? I could have sworn he was in Toxic Avenger, like the big dude, the
Oh,
one that
probably.
that sexually assaults his coworker
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then
That
has sex with a dead body.
mm,
And that's just only part of the film, guys.
yeah, he has syphilis. So, let's get into some trivia before we get started in the rest of this shit. Wes Craven said of the film, "Street trash makes Herschel Gordon Lewis look like Mary Poppins." Do you wanna do the line from Guardians of the Galaxy, or should I?
Go for it.
"I'm Mary Poppins, y'all."
So good.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, Roy Fumes, the Frumkes, I'm just gonna say it like that, the writer of this film and the producer, he actually complimented Wes Craven on his
I was
first
like,
big
I don't
movie.
know if Wes Anderson had anything to do with this.
It'd be very weird, a very different movie, lots of pastel colors, but, he complimented Wes on his first movie, and Wes sent him all sorts of manuscripts and different drafts of it because he was like, "Hey, thanks, I have a fan," and they were friends until Wes died,
That's pretty cool.
and if you're a real horror fan, they were friends after.
Wasn't did I tell you that apparently the actor that played god damn it, who is the main guy in the main bad guy, the one with the bone knife?
Oh,
Fuck, I forget their names.
the Hobo King is what I called him.
Bronson,
Mhm.
right? So Bronson apparently he didn't he got hired on like a day before film, didn't read any of the script and just kind of basically just read it straight off the notes and was like, "Yeah, fuck it. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but hopefully it works."
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it clearly shows in the film.
Yeah, he's like 17 different characters in it, and I wonder if they got because he actually was a Vietnam vet, I wonder if he was actually, like, psychologically, you know
Yeah. You know what's funny? I keep on going back to him being a Vietnam vet and thinking to myself, okay, maybe there's some like deep like root meaning behind all of the crazy homeless people like okay, justifying them acting a little odd and maybe it being like some PTSD kind of thing, right? And our vets not really being taken care of. But no, it has nothing to
Yeah, I
do
don't
with
think
that.
it's that's, God, there's
They
a
even I mean, but they mentioned something about, like, Vietnam, like,
yeah,
we
for
have to take
sure.
our care of
Well
our Vietnam vets or
Well, there's
something.
even like a flashback, which, in his dream sequence, it's like Vietnam. But I feel like the Combat Shock, if you've ever seen that film, that's very much like trying to make a commentary on what do we do with these poor men who come back and they don't have the resources to earn a living and blah, blah, blah. Whereas with this, I feel like it was just, we need time to fill. Let's find this guy who's Herculean and make him intimidating. How would this crazy homeless guy be able to bench 500 pounds? Oh, well, he was in the army.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
That's the way I took it. So I listened to an interview with Frank Farrell, who is credited as the dismembered derelict in the notes. He was the guy who gets his pee chopped off. He was actually a producer on the film. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. That's kinda cool. I
Uh,
mean, they're probably literally, "Okay, show of hands, who wants to have their dick cut off, while we film it?"
Funny enough, so Jennifer Aspinall made reference in one of her interviews saying like, "Oh yeah, I made the dick mold off of one of the cast members, not a problem. But apparently there's a bigger dick mold that is thrown around. The initial dick mold that is cut is different.
Oh, I heard that. I
And
heard they had different names for it
yeah,
too. They had a small one, a medium size, and then like a,
yeah, and she, like, drew the line at doing the big one. She's like, "Nah, dog, I'm not about that," which is
huh.
awesome. And then after that, she went and did Saturday Night Live and Mad TV for the next 17 years of her career.
Yeah, that's kind of funny when you think about her drawing the line between using this regular sized dick and then just like a comical sized dick, and then they play like fucking hot potato with the dick.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, I draw the line between this regular size and this ginormous cock. But you know what? Go ahead and play
I
hacky sack with this dick.
I wonder what her thoughts on circumcision are. She's like, "Nope, it can't have a foreskin." It 'cause that would make it a little bit shorter, so it'd be more manageable for her to use.
Interesting.
So, Frank Farrell had mentioned that there was a, quote, "fair amount of improvisation." Brian, would you believe that people went off script in making this movie?
No, it's totally hard to believe.
Oh my god. Ha apparently, the what is it, car yard that's in the movie was down the street from down the stream rather, from a slaughterhouse, so they would look out into that water every day, and you'd
Oh,
see, like, pig heads floating around.
that's
What
gross.
gets you into character better than that?
That's pretty intense, man.
But I feel like,
Blech.
how can you really be a starving hobo if there's fresh meat like that?
Oh no.
Oh, icky.
Well, I know of one thing, Jake would be a starving hobo.
I would. Well, like, I don't know, if it's already dead and I'm dying, nah, I probably still would.
I don't know what the folks get when they eat the bad lettuce. What is that?
Salmonella?
Yeah. You'd be all about that. You're like, "Give me some of that salmonella lettuce."
So Farrell even went on to say, and this is where the shots across the bow really get crazy. So I'm gonna read 3 quotes from it that are gonna make you go, "Ugh." Number 1, he claimed that distributors told him that street trash, quote, "succeeds where the toxic Avenger wishes it did."
Wow.
He went on to say, quote, "There's too much intelligence on screen that obviously came from behind the camera for people to just dismiss it and say it's just another toxic Avenger."
Hmm.
And then he later said about himself, and when he was describing his character, he said, quote, "Let's just say I'm at the center of the world's first epic castration comedy sequence."
The only one I agree with is the last one.
Yeah. I was like, wrong, wrong, and wronger.
Uh, was I mean, can you imagine any other, epic castration comedic sequence before this?
Yes,
What
RoboCop
when did RoboCop come out?
87. Paul Verhoeven.
Okay, this came out in when?
This came out the exact date,
87?
9/16/87.
When did RoboCop come out?
Shit, I don't know off the top of my head. I
Let's go to stats.
I don't think I was alive yet.
Well, I'm just trying to think here. I mean, if it is the first comedic castration sequence, then the guy was correct.
To his credit, I don't think that it's supposed to be as comedic as I make it out to be.
No, it was
July 17th,
damn.
87.
Okay, so RoboCop did win.
And RoboCop's like one of my top 5, so that had to happen. And
It,
I would argue the concept of time with
it
you.
was so close. It won by a chode.
Yeah. All right, Brian, are we ready to get in the stab-tistics for this week?
Yeah.
All right. So the movie was shot on a budget of I don't fucking know, and nobody seems to fucking know. That's
It
great.
was like a limited release, right?
Yeah. They
Yeah.
rented out a theater and they had 1,200 people there.
Is that really what happened?
That's what started.
Wow.
And then Vestron Video. So apparently the movie was 110 minutes. They cut 10 minutes, which I'm like, you cut 10 minutes? You struggled to cut 10 minutes?
If they cut the dance scene, I feel like that they should have kept it.
Yeah.
That's just
Well, then they cut another 10 minutes to make it 90 minutes because Vestron Video wanted that for the distribution because they were going to do film and video.
oh, that makes sense.
So, yeah, it's kind of bizarre.
I think they did a couple redistributions. Like it went to DVD. They did like a remastered version of it, I think.
Yeah, and I think that the version that's on Shutter, I think, is the 101-minute version.
Oh, nice.
So that's dope. The competition. You ready for this?
Yeah, go for it.
So there was the actual day of was In the Mood, which is based on a true story of a 15-year-old who had affairs with 2 older women.
That's strange.
That's no good.
I don't know who would want to see that.
I think it's supposed to be a comedy too.
That's really weird.
Not a fan.
Nope.
So it came out 2 days before Hellraiser, Fatal Attraction, The Principal, and Amazon Women from the Moon.
The only one I'm familiar with is the Principal. Isn't Principal?
You haven't heard of Hellraiser?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hellraiser was in there?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Hell, you haven't heard of Fatal Attraction?
No.
Bro, okay, it's Swim Fan. It's the original Swim Fan. Michael Douglas pounds Glenn Close, who's not his wife. He's like, "Give it, take it, yeah." And so
Ew,
she
that's
goes,
just gross because I'm imagining Michael Douglas and
"No."
Glenn yeah, now.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, he wasn't that great then. So she goes crazy because she's the other woman, and she boils his fucking rabbit alive. And then, I think that was just character work for when she would later play Cruella de Vil in 101 Dalmatians. Hey, yo, but it's dope. You should see it. It's not a
Hmm.
horror movie though, so I don't think we can do it.
Yeah, definitely not.
Huh. The principal is Jim Belushi. Oh, Amazon Women from the Moon had Arsenio Hall, Phil Hartman, and Michelle Pfeiffer.
That's a pretty good cast.
That's dope.
I've never heard of that movie.
Neither had I. With a name like that, I was like, "Oh, it came out in the '50s. Maybe they did like a re-release." Nope, it is an '87 movie,
Amazon Woman from the Moon.
and it came out 9 days before The Princess Bride.
Yeah, Princess Bride's dope.
Pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah, I just read that. Great book.
Yeah. Are there parts where Fred Savage is being read to in the book?
No, I wish there was.
Gotcha. So the movie was written by Roy Frumkes, who wrote The Substitute 1 through 4. Brian, you're like, "I've only heard of The Substitute." The remaining 3 were actually made for TV. He was the pie-faced zombie in Dawn of the Dead. He plays the businessman who gets melted on in this movie. He co-wrote Shoot Me. Oh yeah, this is the Shoot Me, subtitle, independent filmmaking from creative concept to rousing release. This dude's pretty accomplished.
Yeah,
I kinda liked it.
he's
That's the
got a
book.
lot.
Yeah, the book I told you about where he, like, talks about gathering the money before you go out,
Right.
which is what we did wrong. We should have gathered a bunch of money and bought equipment instead of just hodgepodging this show every week.
That's, I mean, how we get by, man.
We should have been
Stop knocking it.
panhandling. We should get, like, that shitty chocolate and try and sell it in front of Trader Joe's and look disappointed.
I'll just dress you up in slutty outfit and put you on the corner.
I have a great excuse every single time one of those kids is like, "Hey, miss, you wanna buy some chocolate?" I'm always like, "I'm vegan." And they're always like, "Oh, okay, that means you're weird. I'm not gonna try and sell to you."
That's good.
But
That's good.
I'm waiting for the day that some wise ass kid's like, "Oh, would you like this vegan chocolate, mister?" Fuck.
Yeah, until you eat it and then you look at the ingredients and it has nothing vegan in it at all. And you're like, great. Thanks a
Veal
lot.
tears? What the
Fucking
fuck?
dick.
I'm shitting fire. So anyway, the music was by Rick Ulfik. This dude is weird. He founded We the World, an organization dedicated to global peace and unity. He was the co-chair of the Foundation of Ethics and Meeting, a UN representative. What? What? You're a composer for this bullshit little B movie? Well, kind of B movie, and then you're out doing world politicking?
Honestly, I don't even remember any part of the music in this film.
Oh, it's bad.
Is it bad?
Oh yeah, it's like you remember in Forgetting Sarah Marshall when he's like mocking them and he's like, "Bow, ba-dow, bow, bow, bow." It's like that in parts where you're like, this just doesn't fit at all.
Well, I guess it goes with the theme of the movie. I don't feel like anything really fits. No.
No, I feel like it's very much like a dumpster of a movie where it's like just like the opening guy, Freddy, his outfit, where it's like a purple hat from an old lady, the biker jacket from Dennis Hopper from
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, I feel like homeless people really kind of have a hodgepodge of whatever they can find. So,
yeah. So it's in character.
yeah,
It's on brand, as they would say.
definitely.
Uh-huh. Oh, here's a fun fact. Jennifer Aspinall did Massive Head Wound Harry, right? For Dana Carvey. It's a character you might remember. And Victor Pascal, a lot of people said that his makeup was inspired or was the inspiration for Massive Head Wound Harry. You might recall Pet Cemetery, our first official episode. Boom. I brought it around town. Brian, that was the stabtistics for this week.
I like it. Now
Are you impressed?
are we gonna go? Are we gonna attempt nicknames? I don't even know who the fuck to give nicknames to, because there aren't really any characters that come to mind. Right? I'm trying to think of who are the main characters in this film.
Well, it's hard
And
because like I don't know the actors' names because none of them were successful.
yeah, I was telling you earlier, I looked on Wikipedia and they had a list of actors, but none of them had blue writing where you could click a link to go to their profile. It was just like some random name. Like literally anybody can go on there and type
Farts
whatever
McButt.
farts mixed butts, nipple butter, and that would be the main fucking character.
So we got Mike Lackey played Fred. Fred, I just called Hobo for the first 45 minutes of the movie in my notes.
I feel like he's like, yeah, older brother hobo. I don't know. Funny hat.
He was actually in the original short film, and the younger brother is not even a character in it.
Really?
Yeah, kind of neat. So I'm just gonna call him Hobo. You can call him whatever you want. I'm
I
definitive.
I like it when actors have the same name in real life as they do from their character in the movie. Because I feel like they're like, okay, I have a hard time remembering who I'm supposed to be, so please just call me by my actual name. So the guy's name that's the cop, his name's Bill,
Bill
right? And
Hempel,
they're
and
like, he's the cop named Bill.
well, I love that in the credits it's Bill the cop.
Bill the cop. See,
So I kind of want
perfect.
to call him Bill the cop just because
Yeah.
it's like it's very
It's
succinct.
funny
I think.
because in the film he's like, "Oh, I don't know how to fucking read." I'm like, I feel like that he's basically in character.
No.
That's him in real life.
So then we go to Vic Noto, who played Bronson. Here's the fun thing. I have two for him. One, he sits on a throne made of trash, which gives him the Hobo King. And two, he looks like buff Zach Galifianakis.
That's a strange thought. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, the beard and everything. He is exactly Zach
I like the
Galifianakis.
Hobo King.
Hobo King. That's
Yeah.
good. Mike Sferaza played Kevin. I don't know who that is. Is that the little brother?
That's the little brother, but it's nothing really comes to mind. Every time he has like a weird conversation with his brother, it seems like he's like playing to for his brother to be like a nice guy,
Yeah.
and his brother's just like "fuck you, you piece of shit," and
Yeah.
then that's it.
Well, we talked about this before. I feel like the older brother would have been a perfect Ben Richards from The Running Man, according to the novella, because he's just an asshole. And every time you want to do something redeeming, he's just an asshole. So why don't we call Kevin Little Hobo?
Yeah, I like it.
Then we go to Wendy, Jane Arakawa, uh, pedo.
That's what I was gonna say. It's so strange, right? Because Kevin is a little kid and she's like a grown woman.
Yeah.
And she's like, I totally dig this little kid, man. Let me check out, she even pulls off his t-shirt and she's like, man, no fucking chest hair or anything. Gets my rocks hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's it's weird. It is not normal because she even kind of lovingly refers to the other homeless people who are men as kids.
You know what? I remember her hair and thinking to myself, I was like, wow, she's got like a Liu Kang thing going on.
Yeah. And lightning just struck my brain. These are Lost Boys, and she's Wendy Moira Angela Darling.
Oh no.
That adds a whole new level of weird.
That's true because she has her own little Lost Boys little sanctuary
Mhm.
within the dump. So, yeah,
So that's
makes
weird.
sense.
The pedo she is. Nicole Potter played Wynette, who I didn't even know how to name.
Oh man, I just called her diaper lady. She had a weird.
Diaper
It wasn't really a diaper, but it kind of looked like a diaper. I don't know. She definitely looked like she had some meth mouth going on. Right? Her jaw didn't look like it was there.
Yeah, well, her chin juts out so far. It's very weird. I would have called her Salacious Crumb, by the way. That's my one Star Wars reference I'll be making today. Here, I'll show you a picture of Salacious. I wanted to show you. That is it.
Oh no.
Google her, then
Oh
Google
no.
him, and it's the same fucking guy.
Poor lady.
There we
That is
go.
an actual person
It
in real
is.
life.
She seems lovely. I watched an interview with her. She seems absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
We cut to Pat Ryan, Frank Schneiser. He's the Necro. We got Pedo and Necro, right?
Pedo and Necro. Yep. Absolutely.
Clarence Jarmon. I just called him Gas Mask Hobo. I know there's probably something more clever there, but that's the most
I
identifiable.
mean, he wore a
character.
gas mask almost the entire time,
And he was a
until
hobo.
he was in the grocery store.
Yep.
So you can call him Chicken Man.
Chicken Pants.
Chicken Pants. I like it.
All right. Then we go to Bernard Perlman, who played Wiz.
Wizzy was the guy that he was just cantankerous,
Yeah.
right? I almost want to just call him cantankerous.
Cantankerous. Django Crunch was Ed. Ed's the guy who melts at the beginning. Is he? No. Is he the
Honestly, at this point, you really lost me.
he's the guy who works at the
Oh, so he's the guy that introduces Viper.
liquor store who farts.
Yeah. Okay.
We can just call him Farty Liquor Store Boy. Magoo.
And then you have door guy.
Door guy.
Right.
James Lorenz, who bringing it all the way around. RoboCop 3. Love it.
Fair enough.
He is
Fair enough.
delightful. He's my favorite
I mean,
character
their
in this
little
movie.
playful banter, between him and the Don.
He's very funny.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
there are a
Very
lot of
witty.
great parts.
Very witty.
It's Bruce Torbett who plays Paulie, who's the first guy who gets flushed.
The one that flushes himself down the fucking toilet.
Yeah, it's
Pretty
awesome.
sweet. I mean, you gotta give it up for creativity.
For sure.
Like, I'm gonna melt into the toilet, and then I'm gonna flush myself.
Yeah, it's way better than the student film. In the student film, you just got, like, the colors pouring out of his pants, and then he just kind of disintegrates, whereas in this, it's like there and plus there are multiple gags in it. You know, there's the legs that break off, there's the hand that breaks off, there's the face in the
Right,
toilet that's
right, right.
bulging and then sucking down, and
And you
that's a
know
lot of
what's
stuff.
so funny too is you could imagine instantly you're gonna die, but this is a slow, painful death
Yeah.
where they're basically a pile of goo in a toilet and you see like a shape of a face and they're still making some sort of guttural sounds and you're like, "Oh yeah, they're still alive somehow."
I like the idea that he's being flushed down, he's still conscious, and it's like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when Mikey is on his skateboard and he's like, "Whoa,
You know what it reminds me?
bodacious!"
I imagine it's like that carnival ride where you get stuck to the wall when it spins and you're looking up at in the toilet bowl and it's just swirling around.
I love the idea that there's, like, a support group for guys like this in movies, and there's the senator from the first X-Men movie who, like, turns into a puddle, and he's like,
Right. Yeah, absolutely. He's like, "I understand where this is coming from."
"Hi, my name's Eric. Hi, Eric. I've been a puddle person for 20 years." So, Brian, should I try and get this recapitation done so you can go into the slay by play?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
For those of you who are actually watching this, because we're doing a video component this week, I don't know where I'm supposed to be looking, so it's not my fault that I look like I'm schizophrenic.
Fuck, I haven't been looking at any camera this entire
He's
time,
been
so
looking at my
good.
balls. Oh, and he's looking at producer Chad's titties.
Titty, titty, titty.
All right, so recapitation. This is gonna be a harder one
We
than
should
we've
do it
ever
on
done.
Tuesday, man. It'd be Titty Tuesday
Oh, dude. But then we lose warm up Wednesday.
or Wednesday warm-ups.
Okay. So recapitation. Fuck. It's hard. Like the student film's easy, and then this one's a little bit harder. So a guy sells some booze he found
in
that
his
kills
in
people,
his basement, right?
right? And
And it kills people.
that's pretty much it.
That's it. Man, you had a fucking easy one.
But then everything else, there's all the other stuff. There's the cop plot. There's the doorman plot. There's the
Yeah, but
Hobo King plot.
everything builds off of that. So essentially you have like the initial recap.
Well, honestly,
That's
the
it.
doorman plot doesn't tie in until the end credits of the movie. That's what I mean. Like, I could have given it part of the
Well,
recapitation, but
it
still.
does tie in because you have to deal with Officer Bill.
I love
And Officer Bill has to deal with Hobo King.
Officer Bill, oh no! That is such an old reference.
I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Mr. Bill, oh no! Wow.
What is that?
Am
from?
I the oldest? I'm no. Statistically, I'm not the oldest
No,
person in this room.
no, yeah. Chad's got you beat, bud.
So do you. You're April. I'm August.
Oh, fuck you.
Fuck you. That's why you have. That's the only reason you have better facial hair than I do. It's because you're
Oh,
you're an
yes.
old man.
That's it. Absolutely.
Bullshit.
Absolutely.
This
Yes.
guy.
Speaking of which, I guess I might have to do a little shaving here if I'm supposed to be doing a little imitation.
Yeah.
That's flattery.
So Brian, you taking us into sleigh by play?
Yeah, I suppose so. So the way the movie starts out is you have this liquor store dude who takes some trash out, and you have some fun music playing in the background, and there's like fun yellow lettering. I
Yeah, I
feel like
liked
it's
it.
like yeah, it's very 80s.
In the student film short version, it's like bloody font, and I was like, I've seen that
Yeah,
shit before.
it's a little played out. So
But if I had like a punk band, I would totally use this font.
then you have old older brother hobo follow this guy into the liquor store, right? And it's funny because he follows him into the liquor store doing like a little jive. Did
Yeah.
you see him like I don't know.
That's the way he walks in the student film too. He's just like, "Bum, bum, bum," like he's got no bones in his shoulders.
You know what he reminds me of is like a homeless version of Shaggy from Scooby Doo.
We should have just called him Shaggy, but then I lose my hobo one. He's Shaggy, and the little brother is now Scrappy Doo.
So Shaggy follows the liquor store dude into the back of the liquor store. And then this is where the movie fucking draws me in 100%. Is the liquor store guy bends over to pick up something and immediately just lets out the biggest fucking fart
Right into his face.
right into his face. And something about farting, me being, you know, a fucking dude, I guess, who just finds fart jokes funny for some reason.
They're
I
objectively
don't know.
funny.
It's
Wait,
it,
I think I shit my pants. I tried to fart on
I was
command.
like, I think I see a blood vessel popping in Jake's forehead right now.
I feel a bulge beneath my waist, and it's either a hernia or I shit my pants.
Could be both.
A herniated shit.
Breathing through my mouth from now on.
Oh, you get my poop particles on your tongue. Tell me how it tastes.
So
I really hope I made eye contact with the right camera for that one. Keep going.
so um Shaggy grabs some liquor. Apparently it's really expensive liquor because liquor store dude totally chases him out like, "Hey motherfucker, that's my shit." And I guess apparently it's worth it, right? Cuz he's chasing him all over God's green earth to get this one tiny bottle of fucking liquor, right?
I don't know if that's correct. I don't think that Ed's the one who's chasing him. If I'm remembering it correctly, he says he's gonna buy it, he steals a bottle, and then it's when he leaves that it's everybody else who's mad at him. The guy who's in the white shirt is the
Who's the
guy who
guy that
crashes his car
who's the guy that no, there's the original liquor store guy chases him. He chases him and then he meets up with everybody else.
for
And
stealing
then
the
yes. So he's chasing after the guy, and then Shaggy meets up with the two guys who are, I'm assuming, trading money for consensual sex of
Yeah,
some
that's
sort.
clearly what's happening.
And then he runs past them, steals the money, and then keeps running. So then they all kind of run after him in party.
Do I get partial credit for remembering that it's exactly $2? 'Cause I'm realizing that you're correct. I in the because I'm confusing it with the short film because 'cause I'm an idiot, and I don't know why I go into all these supplemental materials that don't actually have any bearing on the movie we're watching. But in that, he and Ed get along fine. And then it's also weird because why would you go back to Ed's shop if you stole? But whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
And Ed's okay with it.
Yeah, totally is okay with it.
Weird.
No, you know what? It's not Ed.
Okay, thank you.
Well, it's not Ed, but Ed is somebody that is introduced much later. It's not the same sequence. It's not the same first 5-minute intro into the film. It's some random liquor store dude that is stalking his back room, and then he grabs the shit and then runs. That guy chases after him, meets up with the other hobos who are gonna do the hanky panky. They chase after him as well because he steals the money. He goes around the block and then he meets up. And it's funny because they almost make it seem like it's like super slapsticky, where like he'll go like a couple blocks and then they pull like a Mike Myers and they're like there in front of
Yeah.
him. And he's like, "What the fuck? How'd you get there?" And it's the same person. It's the same guy that's in the back room of his liquor store that farted. The guy that farted isn't Ed.
He isn't?
No, it's not. It's some older guy that
Okay.
I don't know. So Ed
All I know is this scene I had, "The heat is on." You take your drinks according to Brian.
right.
But that's the opening song in Beverly Hills Cop. Da-na-na-na-na, you know?
Yeah. How's it go?
Da-na-na-na-na.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
So, they chase after him some more. He goes upstairs into an apartment building where he randomly, no, actually, so he gets chased. They drop down a ladder, and then he's like, "Oh shit, this is fucking cool. Why would a ladder get brought down?" Apparently, there's a fire in the apartment
Yeah,
building.
I thought he had a crony who was helping him out.
Right? That's what I thought too. And so he runs up, he climbs up the ladder, goes into some people's apartment who are apparently having sex.
Booty.
Um,
You see titties at 3 minutes and 4 seconds into this movie.
I like how you took notes on that.
Yep. And then you see a dick at 3:11.
Yeah, no, not only dick, you kind of see some flopping balls
It's
too.
like it looks like one of the characters of Fraggle Rock, like really enjoying some music.
Oh no. I feel like it's like two hard-boiled eggs in a little bean bag.
You see her bush too, and he slaps her ass. I mean, this movie has everything in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and then it shows him
Oh, and he
running.
steals a watch.
Oh, that's right.
Like you objectify this guy's woman, and then you steal his watch.
He's very opportunistic.
Yeah, he's not a good person.
No. But I mean, if you're a homeless guy, you kind of have to do what you can, right? I mean, I don't know from experience, but at least.
It's the law of the jungle.
Exactly. So then somehow I feel like he gets back downstairs. They chase after him some more. He meets or he sees a dump truck,
Yep.
right? Hops in the dump truck and then he loses him, right?
Well, he jumps out of the dump truck
Well,
because
because
it
the
starts
dump
to
truck
crush.
starts
leaving the $2, and then he's like, "Fuck, I lost the money, man."
Right, which is funny because it's $2.
Yeah, but to him, it's his life savings.
That's exactly 2 Vipers.
Yeah. And of course, whenever I see the dumpster, I think of Blood Feast, which then spawned Blood Diner, and then I was sad I wasn't watching Blood Diner, but because the guy who Uncle Anwar is based off of in the first one, in Blood Feast, he goes splat in a dump truck.
Oh, shit. That's
Yep.
right. Hmm.
The more you know, kids. Now you can impress somebody on the internet and be like, "No, fuckface. Uncle Anwar's basis."
So is this where we, get introduced to, the Hobo King?
Yeah. There's
Kinda,
like
sorta?
the not yeah, you're exactly right.
Is
Well,
this
it's just the
this
man on the throne, yeah.
right, where
He's just yelling. Like he doesn't do anything to establish his status. He's just a yelling person. So it's kind of hard to call it the, introduction to the character when you don't get any character.
That's true.
I mean, unless you can qualify character traits as like loudness and annoying, which I guess is me. So yeah, they'll call a character.
But at the same time, look back into the trivia notes, the guy had absolutely no fucking idea what he was doing. So, I mean, it all makes sense. So
Excuse me, Mr. Director, what's my motivation? You're crazy and you live in a dump, my friend, and your girlfriend's wearing a diaper, but you want to bang a pedophile. And he's like, "Oh, got it. Clear as day."
yeah, man. So what happens next?
So the hobo walks by a kid the kid is on the street in a spring-loaded rocking horse, and he's like, "Ride him, baby."
I don't even remember that
I was
part.
like, "Yeah." It just sounds so weird and bad.
The amount
Uh,
of pedo instances in this film.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
then this is where we pan down to the basement, and then you get the rot gut scene where Ed finds the crate of 60-year-old Viper. Then the homeless guy comes in. Then they do the thing when he steals it. I'm so wrong. Then the legless guy comes in,
Oh,
who's
no.
never reintroduced in the
That's
movie,
right.
and it's so cluttered in this fucking liquor store. He just falls on his face, and you're like, "Oh, that's so sad." And then hobo guy
Right, but
gets
I
away.
mean, it gives the hobo guy, like, an opening,
Yeah, well, I thought
right?
that they were gonna be in cahoots, and they weren't.
Yeah, that's true. I would've felt really bad if, fucking armless dude or legless dude would've, drank the Viper.
I didn't know Orlando Bloom was in this.
Fuck you, man. It's
L
legless, not Legolas.
So, man, it cuts to homeless
And my bow.
and my boo, and then Fred's like, "And my Viper." But think about it. Imagine if you poured Viper into Mount Doom, what that would
Oh, it
do.
would be fucking game over.
Dude, that would rule ass.
Game over.
That would rule ass to see some flaming eye melting.
Yeah, I would just fucking disintegrate.
That's
Game over.
the sentence that I want taken out of context in this. A flaming eye melting, and somebody's like, "Yep, Jake broke edge. He's doing LSD on that podcast."
Although at the same time, I'm pretty sure more than once in this film, there has been an eyeball that has been melting.
Oh, for sure.
It wasn't on fire, but it was pretty close.
Yeah, actually, in the student film, that's one of the better effects is the eyes of the shopkeep pop backwards into his head, pop out his mouth.
That's really impressive.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah, I mean, for a student film, that's really, I don't know. I mean, I would be impressed.
Yeah,
I give it an A.
Roy Frumkes was actually a professor at the school where James Muro was going. So it's kind of a
I
cool
wonder
collab.
I wonder what grade they got.
Hopefully an A.
Hopefully.
Well, and then the guy went on, so we didn't talk about this. James Muro ends up being the Steadicam guy of choice for James Cameron. So he did stuff on Titanic, True Lies, Terminator 2. I mean,
Right, yeah, he did Terminator, that's
he
right.
even was a cinematographer for Crash, for Christ's
Yeah,
sake. So this guy had
apparently
a serious career.
for Steadicam, he was like the top-notch guy.
Hell yeah.
So,
And
that's
that you
pretty
could
cool.
see it in this movie. In that opening shot, there's like a complete Evil Dead style pan as it's going around the like crappy neighborhood for a couple seconds with no point. It's
Right.
just there because he could do it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So then
And
we cut to the intersection where there's normie guy and his girlfriend, and they're in the car, and the homeless guys are like cleaning
they're all
windshields.
cleaning windshields. Yeah, that's so good. And you know what it reminded me of? I wanna say it's Steve Rannazzazzi. Do you know who that is? It's
Mm.
a comedian. He's from The League, and, he makes up a joke where he talks about being in downtown LA and, how a guy, basically cock blocks everybody into missing a light just because he's on his phone. and everybody's like honking their horn, like, what the fuck, you know? And so then everybody's pissed off, right? Well, then a homeless guy comes up to him and wants to like wipe his window, you know, spit shine his window basically. And he's like, no, 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 I got something better for you. He's like, all right, I'm gonna give you $20. And the guy looks at him like, oh fuck, what do I gotta do for $20? You know, like the guy's willing to do anything basically for $20. He's like, I want you to take that nasty bucket of water that you have right there and go pour it through that guy's moonroof right there.
No.
Yeah. And he's like, oh fuck yeah, I'll do it. And he goes over and he totally pours it down his moonroof. And then he looks at the guy and flips him off and raises his hands and he's like, it was the greatest thing fucking ever.
Wow.
Sorry, little side story.
That's
But
dope.
yeah.
Well, as opposed to going through the moonroof, this is where the Hobo King takes the guy who's in the front seat and smashes his head through the window. And
Which is really weird because I feel like it shows him throwing the guy out of the car, and then it doesn't really show anything else, and then it pans back to the car, and it's just a guy's face through the windshield. I don't know.
yeah, I know I took a note. That's somebody from the production team who
Really?
gets smashed through it, but I'm
I think
trying to
it's so
find.
fun how they can include everybody from production getting murdered
I think they
somehow.
had to at a certain point because they didn't have anybody who wanted to be in the
Oh,
film.
no. That's probably true. But I remember distinctly hearing the girl say over and over again, "He's touching the car. Why? Can you have him not touch the car?" And I'm like, "Dude, get over the car. Like, this guy's clearly gonna kill your boyfriend."
With
But
a bone knife. Also, according to the TLA Video and DVD Guide of 2004, the Discerning Film Lover's Guide, this VHS is worth $79.99.
dude, wow,
15 years ago, it was worth $79.99.
I'm impressed.
Blows my fucking mind that I found that on the internet.
That's kinda cool. I mean, I imagine if I came across, like, an old fucking milk crate full of VHS and I saw this out on a cover, I would definitely take it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What, 79 cents?
Yeah.
Give that shit to me."
So then what happens?
This is this where we get introduced to Bill? Bill the cop?
Sure, let's say it is.
Is it not?
I don't know. I think it is. You don't have to
I
look at the
mean,
notes.
because they have to, essentially, they figure out who the fuck no, I think I'm skipping ahead, aren't I?
Yeah, it cuts to uh
Again, always skipping ahead. Motherfucker.
yeah, man, there's a bunch of stuff that happens. I'm looking at this. So it cuts to Freddie apologizing to the guy he stole money from, and then that old man talks about like his son, how he's wasting his life on computers, and then he steals the Viper from Fred, and then we end up with Fred getting his ass kicked by Wiz, and then the guy going off and then drinking the booze and melting into the toilet.
Oh,
So
that's right,
go
that's
for it.
right. So then yeah, okay. Basically, Shaggy goes into the liquor store and he sees Ed, right? And he, you know, I guess we're recapping basically. Like we're recapping the recap.
Mhm.
Uh,
Well, it's hard to keep track, like we were talking about. Not each of these things is like a 7-minute short. It's not one long movie.
yeah, it's true. It totally skips from one thing to another. So sorry, guys. So he plans on drinking this Viper that he steals. And then you have Wizzy, right? Is it Wizzy?
Wizzy's the one who beats the shit out of him. It's the
Wizzy,
other
yeah,
guy who actually melts, though.
the other guy that steals it from him.
Mhm.
Right, okay. So the other guy steals the Viper from so he goes up into his, sweet ass fucking made up apartment.
Which is awesome because he goes
He
through the
goes through the
door,
door.
and there's an empty wall that's been broken down so that he didn't have to go through the door. I love it.
Right, it's great. I mean, essentially, um, I don't know. I don't feel like in my mental state, I would ever be so drunk to the thought of me thinking that I'm going through a building when it's actually just a door frame and nothing on the other side,
I like to think that it's him just being polite.
it's definitely possible. And you know, he sits on his porcelain throne and starts going to town on some Viper, right?
Yep.
And we get our first kill for the Viper and see what happens. And I
Pretty
think
dope.
it's really cool, right?
It's a great effect. I mean, well, that's what we were talking about. There's multiple effects in it.
Yeah. I think it's interesting how everybody's blood is like different colors.
I tried to go into the weeds as far as like discerning if that speaks to their character and if
Yeah,
they're good and
what comes from different colors? Like some are yellow, some are blue, some are purple.
but at a certain point, all of them have multicolors.
Yeah,
This guy
essentially.
starts off blue and purple, and then you see yellow and everything too. So
Yeah, it totally reminded me of like the really vibrant Play-Doh that you would see when you were, as a kid. It
Yeah.
would be like the
Covered
really,
in gusher goo, like the girl from last week's episode.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, covered in gusher goo. So I thought it was really cool, right? And they have fun little effects like we said earlier, the legs snapping off, the arm stuck to the old I don't know
Chain.
what you would call it, the chain for the flusher, right?
Yeah, I was actually just listening to a podcast, and apparently on the cover of Fleetwood Mac's Rumors, the guy has a couple of like balls hanging from a chain. That is the same fucking thing from a toilet that he ripped off during the photo shoot and put on his crotch.
Really?
No idea.
Huh.
The more you know.
Yeah, that's crazy. So the you know you see the effect of the death, and I feel like that's really kind of like the shining point of the film.
That's the best
Really,
one. Yeah,
right?
that's the slay of the game for sure.
Oh, I it's definitely the slay of the game, but it's also just as far as like character development. What character development? Plot. What plot?
I feel like people
Um,
regress in
the
this movie.
special effects and the way that people die in this film are really like the shining parts of the film.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So then we cut. The detective is asking questions of the new homeless guy who's I don't even remember if we gave him a name. He runs off with Viper that he ends up finding somehow, or he buys something. He climbs up on a fire escape. He starts drinking the Viper. He starts to turn yellow and slops and melts down. That's where he lands in the businessman's face. And this is where you get your
Right.
second glimpse at the detective, who's a complete asshole to this girl who's like, save this man. His face is
Right.
melting
So
off.
this is where Bill the detective is investigating the guy who got his face smashed through the windshield. And then the other guy comes running over.
Yeah.
Right. So he's already investigating something that happens to this guy as far as like, oh, who the fuck did this? And then I think he actually sees one of the homeless guys and he says, hey, who the fuck did this? And he brings up,
That's the guy who ends up melting. So he threatens him and he's aggressive to him. And then as the guy's walking away, he's like, fuck you, man. And
oh, and
then,
then he meets Shaggy. And then that's
yeah, then he
okay.
melts and then
Got it.
burns the guy's
Right.
face, which is interesting because in the original film, I don't think that it's meant to imply that the skin is like, or the blood rather is like acid. At the end of the movie, the big difference is so the shopkeep melts, and then it seems that people are plundering his shop. And then I think it's supposed to be Fred with a gas mask on takes the remaining box of, in that movie, it's Thunderbird instead of
Yeah,
Viper.
it's Thunderbird.
And then he runs out and he's like yelling. And so I think it's meant to be that he's alive. And I think that's why the other guy has a gas mask. It's very convoluted, the
Yeah,
ending.
I don't know. The only other part in the movie where you kind of think to yourself that some sort of acidic property is when Shaggy throws the bottle at Hobo King, and then it breaks, and part of his face is melting, right, and his hands are all melty
It's
too.
pretty dope.
Yeah, that part's pretty cool.
Kind of a Molotov cocktail situation. So then we cut to the Hobo King, who the girl is making out with him. He hits her, and then he talks about making women walk or march around
Oh,
rather
does he
with
say
a bear
something?
pussy.
Pussy, a bear pussy.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah, that's
not bare ass, bear pussy.
pretty intense.
I'd never heard that before. You'd think it makes perfect sense. I mean, you bare ass, it's kind of hard to walk around with just the front covered, but more power to him.
Yeah, so then he keeps bringing up something about like being in the war, right?
Yeah.
I think at one point it shows like a jet fly overhead, and then he says something, right? Like, oh, something about
Air
101st
support.
Airborne or some
Yeah.
shit
He
like
keeps
that.
yelling
Yeah.
for air support.
Yeah.
And then so it cuts to the kid and he's made money legitimately and Fred's talking shit to him. And then you get Bert, the gas mask hobo, comes up and just takes $3 from him. And he's like, I'm going to go invest this and make more money. And then he never has money.
Right, right. I think at this point, do we get to see Pedo? I think for the first time also.
Oh, yeah. And she's
Right?
all about that little boy.
She's all about the little boy, and it's really kind of creepy. And even Shaggy even mentioned something about it too. Like, who's this old broad that's just trying to hit up on you? And then you get the dump owner, Necro, who's yelling at her, right? He's like, need you to get upstairs, you know, front and center, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's when we kind of get introduced to him as well. Total fat slob.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit. And they established that pretty quickly and thoroughly.
Yeah, definitely.
And so from there, we have the expository information where you have Fred talking or Shaggy talking to the little hobo, and they're talking about how their dad came back from Vietnam and he had PTSD and he couldn't even let him, watch Godzilla movies because he'd start blathering on. Very weird. And then we cut to the awesome scene where the homeless guy with the gas mask picks up the receipt and goes into the store. Go for it, Brian.
That part's really cool, right? So you have a guy who goes in and what's sad is I imagine homeless people actually do this. They probably walk in
Why
and
not?
stuff their fucking pants.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, "What? I came in with this shit. Prove me wrong, motherfucker."
I would rather see a guy stuff his pants than relieve his pants in a store.
That's true. Absolutely. And what's crazy is if you think about it, with what happened with Starbucks not too long ago, right? Where it's like you can't deny me a restroom no matter if I'm a customer or not. Like it's like, okay, well, no, I had this stuff on me. Unless they have it on camera, what are they gonna do? They can't. I can imagine they could probably get away with it.
Just mentioning Starbucks while talking about street trash, I am reminded of my days where I worked at a Starbucks, and one of the best days of my life was being able to walk out of Starbucks. Not when I quit. This was before that, so I got to see the person the next day. My shift is over. I'm walking out, and I hear a moan. One of my coworkers has opened the door, and all I can see, because there's a direct line of sight from that front door to the bathroom.
Homeless people doing it.
Nope, shit smeared all over the white porcelain walls, white
Wow.
tile walls rather.
That's
And you
crazy.
could tell. I mean, it was a staunch contrast,
Oh
covered in
no.
shit, and I narrowly missed
It
it.
was a nice terracotta brown.
Oh, we're talking about like it was viscous.
Maybe a hint of corn yellow in there every
Oh
once in a while.
God, that's distasteful, Brian. So
So you have him basically kind of perusing the store, right? Which is great because he clearly has no money for any of this.
well, he has the money he stole from the kid, but it's not enough. Yeah,
Yeah, $3? Huh. Yeah, I mean that's like one or two items that he grabbed.
$3.87 money, Brian.
Oh,
All he needs is another 91 cents, and he could go buy a ticket to the Running Man, bitch.
wow. I like that.
I remember that stat from last week.
Definitely don't remember that shit. Good. So he's throwing chicken down his pants, right?
And then he
And then
can't
this
fit the watermelon, so he
the
goes for a cantaloupe. That's awesome. At first, I
this
thought he was like saying like, "Nope, I'm not gonna go for that racial stereotype," and then it was just a size thing, and I was like, "That's even funnier."
this little old lady totally calls him out on it.
And he refers to her as a cold, wrinkled, white honky bitch, or no, white honky motherfucker, and I
I
was like,
mean, he's not wrong.
"She is."
Yeah. So if anything, he was in the right there. So she goes off, gets security, comes back. He's like, "Hey, listen, dude, you got chicken in your fucking pants." He's like, "What? I don't know what you're talking about."
It's like it's literally right there. It's dangling out of your pants.
So then he shows him the receipt, right, that he picked up before he went into the store. And the guy's like, "Yeah, this is just dog food." And the guy's like, "Yeah, this is what I have. Chicken's dog food, right?" Yeah, totally playing it coy. I like it.
And then he like pits it against the guy and effectively calls him an Uncle Tom. And he's like, "Look, you're black. You need to side with me by default." And the guy's like, "Look, you're gonna get arrested." And he just smash and grabs.
I like it.
It works.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally believable. So, out of anything in the film, this is definitely believable. So, yeah, did you notice that they had like crazy fucking prison bars in front of the grocery store?
Yep.
What was up with that?
If it's the fact that they're in the street trash, you know, universe.
Is that something where they deter people from stealing shopping carts?
Sure.
That's the only thing I can think of
I
because
think
I mean,
so.
it showed like a bunch of people kind of like getting really angry that they had to turn sideways to go in between the bars, but they had a bunch of shopping carts inside the grocery store. So I'm like,
Yeah.
it was like modern. I guess you would equivalent that to modern day like magnets
Yeah.
attached to the fucking shopping
I
cart
could see that.
wheels.
Yeah.
Huh. Have you ever had one of those fucking stop like mid stride?
Oh, what, like the turn wheels?
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude,
That's
I smashed my
turnstile.
nuts a few times doing that.
The worst
Shit's
is when your
fucking
knee bends
annoying.
backwards. Yeah.
God, that sucks. I remember, yeah, I feel like Target has those all the time, and I'm like walking my cart out to the fucking car, and then mid stride just stops, and I just get slammed right in the nuts. Not
No
cool.
good.
No.
We then cut to the cops who have found the hands and feet of our friend from earlier who melted and fell down the toilet. So you get the weird scene where our detective Bill is talking to a guy with a Mickey Mouse tank top who is apparently another cop who's doing a prostitution sting. And we effectively get some back and forth banter talking about the Hobo King and everything. And effectively, Detective Bill's like, hey, I'll help you if you help me. Right? Am I missing anything?
No, I think that's it.
Just a long scene that does nothing. Then we go to the Hobo King, looking just like Zach Galifianakis, and there's a 360-degree shot of the dump around him, and it shows all the different characters and all the different homeless people. And I thought that was actually really fun. And I wish that because of that, I wish they kept the dance scene that we talked about earlier in because it's personalities that you see in the people that's beyond just like what they look like.
Right, and I wish they would have utilized it as far as kind of having some sort of, um, delve into who these characters are,
Yeah,
instead of just being, like you said, like, background kinda hobos. You know, like background hobo 1,
pretty
essentially.
much. I mean, the only reason that the one gets a fancy name is because his dick gets cut off.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. What is, that guy's name in the credits? I'm kinda curious.
Which one?
The one that gets a dick cut off.
Oh, it's Dismembered Derelict.
Dismembered Deller oh, wow.
Yep.
That's good.
So then it cuts to the hobo, the kid, the gas mask guy. They're in the car. The stack of tires and the car being underlit like that in the dark is pretty sweet.
Yeah, it would totally be a sweet fucking, hideout,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, except for the fact it's a dead giveaway where they are. It's like, huh, let's look around this dump. Oh, the one thing that's glowing. That's probably where they are. And they go in, and that's where they have the food. And you were really upset that the cooking wasn't better.
Well, it just seems strange that he was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna come up with some sort of crazy concoction with the $3 and however much fucking money I had." But he stole like this, like he went through like a laundry list of things at the grocery store. Like he was almost specifically going to make something, and then it was just like some random fucking food there.
Some slop. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So then we cut to the Hobo King's dream sequence where
Super weird.
there's the Viet Cong vampires that bite him on the throne. Then he has a flashback. Then he's saving Wendy, who's strapped to a rock while explosions go off. Then,
He throws her or he like unlashes her, right, from being tied up. She falls to the ground, which makes it seem like she's like passed out from being strapped to the fucking side of a wall.
Mhm.
And then he immediately just jumps on her. Like,
well, he takes
okay,
his shirt
well,
off and then she bites his nipple.
I didn't even notice that.
Oh, yeah, she pulls a Giorgio. I'm like, what?
That's weird.
Well, I kept expecting that he was gonna like wake up and the other hobos were gonna be biting him because there's the Viet Cong vampire who bites him, she bites him. So he wakes up and then you're like, okay, who's biting him? Nobody is. He has a grenade on his belt. He pulls the pin and
And then
blows it up.
he throws it, right? It's the most random thing. You're like, where the fuck did this grenade come from, first of all? And then secondly, like I don't know, I guess in Hobo universe, a grenade going off, doesn't warrant any kind of cops.
Nope.
Nothing. Okay.
The cops probably like it. It's one less to deal with.
Totally fucked.
It is. So what do we got here? Hobo comes back to the liquor store. He, oh yeah,
Oh, yeah,
they're
okay.
closed. So he goes into the alley and he finds who,
He
Brian?
finds, the Don's girlfriend,
Yeah.
right? I don't know what the guy's name is, I forget, but I'm gonna call him the Don. He's clearly the Italian dude with the strong Italian overtures.
Yeah, I called him like Mr. Kane
Okay.
because he literally had a
He
cane.
had a cane. It's true. So he finds this chick, right? And he looks at this, like, high class girl in like stilettos and like a nice like mini skirt on, and she's like yakking, right? And he's like, oh man,
With
this
like
is
yellow chunks on her chin.
he's like,
Yakking.
yeah, I'm about to score,
Yep.
right? That's his first thought. He's like, well, this is gonna happen, right? So then she like keeps on calling him, oh, forget his name, she kept on calling him by name, who she
Fred?
thought it was.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Kane. Um, right, and he's like, "Yeah, baby, come with me, you know, we'll go back to my flat," right?
Yeah.
And his flat is literally the fucking car.
Yep. And she goes with him, and yeah. So as they walk by, the Mr. Kane comes out, and it's interesting because as they're going by, there's a doorman who's watching, and there's another guy who's supposed to be like a chef who's watching. The
Right.
chef apparently narcs on the doorman for not stopping him from taking the girl, and
Even
then
though the chef didn't stop either,
exactly.
right? Yeah, so I thought that was funny.
So the guy's like, "Where the fuck is my girlfriend? Blah blah. You just let it happen."
Right, and you remember hearing the girl, like, totally pleading, like, "Fuck it, let's do it right here."
Yeah,
I
she
was
is
like, "Wow,
thirsty.
let's okay."
And it's also interesting. I mean, we'll get into it. it's hilarious to me that she keeps begging him to kiss her on the mouth. Like,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
probably hasn't brushed his teeth ever, and she just yacked, and he's like, I don't know."
Yeah, it's funny because even though she just yacked, I bet, yeah, she probably had better breath than him.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, and I feel like it would have, kind of made the whole illusion disappear if, she's imagining I don't know, maybe not. She's imagining she's in some, like, sweet ass fucking, like, condo or something, but really she's in a car, and then she, like, kisses some dude who's got fucking, ass breath, and then it just, like, snaps her like, awake from, like, drunken stupor.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Nah, I don't wanna even trust that."
So, when he gets her back to the room or the I say room, wow, taking a lot of liberties there. When he takes her back to the car in the dump, he, like, straight like, titties out, rips her pantyhose down, they start doing it doggy style. He apparently has some pent-up frustration because he finishes right quick.
Yeah.
He, like, rolls off and just collapses on the floor, and he's passed out, and then all of the other hobos who've been crawling towards the car like it's
Oh, dude,
fucking
it's
Freaks,
so
right?
fucking creepy.
Did you get the
It's
vibe from
so
Freaks?
creepy, yeah.
One of us. I was
Yeah.
that's the whole thing.
It's so weird, and then they keep on panning out to the outside of the car, and it almost looks like they're jerking off.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
they're totally rubbing it out while she's, moving around in there, and I remember her saying right after the guy passes out, she's like, "I wanna do it again." She's all, like, almost forceful.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
like
She's like, "I want mine, motherfucker. I put a new diaphragm in this morning, motherfucker."
Oh, no. What is that,
Ice cream
Ice
man.
Cream Man? Ugh, that's so gross. So then,
So hands come into the car from out in the tires and rip her out.
right.
That was one of the cooler visual effects in
It's
the
one
whole
of the
movie.
cooler visual effects. It's also really fucking scary and
Yeah.
gross and kinda makes you cringy.
Why don't you tell the fans at home the facts you told me about this lady?
Oh, so apparently, some years before this film, the actual actress that, portrayed the Don's girlfriend was attacked in a New York subway system by some thugs, and, she was partially deaf in one ear, and she had, like, a nasty scar along her scalp. And apparently filming this scene where she basically gets violently ripped out of a car and gang raped by a bunch of hobos brought back a lot of bad memories and thoughts, which leads me to believe she didn't do any of her reading of the script either.
Yeah.
So
Well, they're dragging her off. She's completely naked and she's shrieking. It is not
no,
comfortable.
no, it is not good at all. It's definitely one of the cringier parts of the film.
I thought they were gonna eat her. I thought that was gonna be kind of the joke because they were like these like blathering mutant people. Nope, they just raped the hell out of her because it's clearly established at the end. But we'll move on. So this is where we cut to the scene where the boss is offering Wendy $5 as a bonus if she takes him to Bone Zone. And she's like, I'm only worth $5. And then he fakes a heart attack for some reason. I don't know why. He fakes a heart
Oh, this is
attack
where he's on top of her.
and pins her down. And she's like,
He's like
oh,
on top of her, like on the chair. And this is a big dude. And she is not the biggest of girls. And I'm like, man, that's fuck.
so she's begging for him not to be dead so that she can get out from under him. And he's like, oh, you didn't want me dead, huh?
Yeah.
It means you want to fuck. And she's like, what? How did you get that
You know what?
message out of this?
That was like the funniest part of his character, I
Yeah.
thought,
Oh, I don't know. The whole him talking to the detective later is pretty good.
No, that's true.
All right, so let's move things along. During this scene, there's like Leave It to Beaver music from the 50s. Da, 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 da. It's like very sitcom, pre-sitcom, and it's very uncomfortable. I think that the anachronism's way effect. It's kind of like Jeepers Creepers where they play like the fucking bullshit old music.
Right.
I think it's effective. What happens next, Brian?
So is this where the Hobo King attacks the hobo out of nowhere? Right? Does
Yeah.
this go back to the where he's basically sitting on his fucking throne? He gets mad for some reason and then just starts attacking.
I think what's supposed to be is that he's mad at Fred for being related to or Shaggy for being related to the little kid hobo.
And I feel like he also sees Pedo walking around and he's
Yeah.
got like that like pent up
Rage
sexual
boner.
frustration.
Yeah.
Right. And meanwhile, Wynette,
Yep.
diaper girl,
Mhm.
is basically she's like pissed, right? She's like, well, I want you to give me some, but you want to fuck pedo, so I don't know. I'm angry, and then he just kind of like attacks people out of sexual spite,
You know, like you do.
like you do. Right. And then so he kills the guy, right? Does he kill the guy or does he just like
Which guy?
the homeless guy that he just randomly attacks?
I don't think he's dead.
Oh, I thought he kills the guy.
But then he attacks the other hobo and starts choking on him. And another homeless guy just randomly sticks his dick through a wall and pisses in the hobo king's face.
Isn't that where he's killing the cop? Where that happens or is this
Shaggy.
after?
Yeah, that happens after.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
then he takes his bone knife, which, yeah, he took a bone from the leg of a Viet Cong, and then turned it into a knife. So he chops off, this is exactly what happens. He chops off this guy's dick, who ends up being the producer on the film, and then they play keep away with the prosthetic dick.
Which in all reality, that should have been the slay of the game,
Yeah, he should
right?
have
The
bled
guy should
to
have
death
died like instantly.
hard.
That is the main vein.
Yeah, dude. It's
So
my main vein.
I don't know about you, but I can imagine if my shit goes, I don't want to live.
No, it's not worth it.
I mean, there were once upon a
Seeing
time.
my kid grow up and be a prosperous member of society? Nah. Fuck
Yeah, it's
that.
like, I mean, yeah, eunuchs maybe are a thing, but not for me.
No. Sorry, bud. I got one purpose in life.
Yeah.
Get this dick wet.
Whoa.
Oh no. I realize that this is going to be commemorated.
It really went there.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'm
So
going to be quiet for a while.
so the hobo finally catches his own dick, right? And this is after they're
He intercepts a pass. He doesn't catch his own dick.
so he intercepts the dick pass and he goes along for the Hail Mary basically and catches the dick. He then hops a ride onto the back of a taxi cab.
Yep.
And then he's like,
No, he misses the cab and he gets on a school bus.
is that, oh, that's right. So he gets on a school bus because that's not creepy having a guy holding his own dick, like waving at a bunch of children.
What'd you learn at school today, Billy? Well, I learned that if you don't have cab fare, you can swing your dick around.
Literally.
I would love the William Shatner parody of it where the little kids go into the bus driver. There's something on the back of the bus. The guy turns and looks around and the guy holding his meaty schlong.
Right.
It looks circumcised, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Kind of a waste.
So I think now we go to the dump guy, the dump. I think it's the dump guy. I'm looking at the notes, but I feel like it's the dump.
It's the detective asking the
Yeah.
cane guy and the doorman about the girlfriend.
Yeah, but I mean, we have to know what happens to the girlfriend first, right? Before they go to the police precinct, because otherwise, why would he ask? It's just because she's missing, or because
Yeah.
I thought that the guy
Well-
sees the dead girl.
Oh,
at
yeah,
the
that
dump,
has to be before. Yeah, you're
right?
totally right.
So the guy sees the dead girl at the dump, and then he becomes Necro. That's why we call him Necro.
So here's the point. So after the boss tries to take advantage of Pedo, the
Right. So then
Wendy,
he leaves.
he's walking around his junkyard.
Oh,
He
and
gets
the
bitten
dog-
in the crotch by a dog.
No, the dog doesn't bite him. The dog licks his fucking cum pants.
Well, this is before. So maybe it's premature ejaculation. But
Dude, he's totally like got like a raging boner, and he like, I don't know if he like pre-comes or something in the front of his pants, but then
I
the
think
dog
it's only moist because of the dog.
the dog goes up and licks him in the crotch
Yeah.
because, well,
So then he starts yelling at a homeless guy, and then he sees the dead lady from earlier. This is a weird thing. He doesn't wear gloves when he lights up his cigarette, right? But then he puts on gloves to lower down into this embankment where the dead body is,
and then he takes the gloves off.
and then proceeds to fuck the body. At least they had the decency to put that off screen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's totally implied, but yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
I think
gross.
he gets up because of the dick tossing around. He gets up and zips up his pants to signify that he's finished, and he's like, "What's that raucous? I wonder if it's a guy chasing his own cock."
Yeah, something about that, right? Nothing about that really surprises me.
Nothing
In this
surprises me
film.
about this movie anymore.
Yeah. So then you go to the cop interviewing the Don, right? And the door guy. And then that's when you have the playful banter,
Which is fun, yeah.
right? You
Where
have the playful
effectively you get doorman who's like, "You're a fucking cuck piece of shit. You think you're a don?" and he mouths off, and the
Yeah,
cop's
because
like, "Hey, I can only protect you for so
yeah,
long."
he's the wisecracking peon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's really fun. He's like, "Yeah, I'm on witness protection, right?" And he's like, "No, no, that doesn't work at
Nope,
all."
not a real thing. So then there's ominous music, and a man with a gun shows up in a plaid coat at the dump, and he's the hitman who you believe is hired by the Dawn to kill
Oh,
Shaggy
dude, this is
because
so fucking weird.
it is very
This is
weird.
so weird, right? So
So
go on.
so Fred is or Shaggy is taking a piss at a urinal. This guy comes up and it's like, you wait, like you can't do two things at once or whatever.
And they're implying that like he has a big dick, right? Because like
Something.
Shaggy looks down at his dick when he's pissing. And then yeah, the guy like says something to him. Shaggy goes running, and then that's when Bill the cop shows up.
Shows up out of nowhere,
It's
beats
no,
this
it's his cop intuition, man.
yeah, shows up, he starts fighting the guy, or he says to the guy, "Wouldn't you rather die in combat than rot in jail?" So the guy throws his gun to the side and fights him man to man, loses, gets his head put in a urinal, and then the
And
cop,
then the cop,
you think for
why?
sure he's gonna piss on him, right? And then he pukes on the back of the dude's
And
head.
it's not that he just like goes over and pukes because he had to puke. He literally forces himself to puke with a finger down the throat.
Oh, it's
It was
awful.
so weird. And it almost looked like chunky tomato soup
Yeah.
that like went all over the guy's face.
It looked like Uncle Anwar blended up
Oh,
the brain from Blood Diner.
grody.
And then he just takes the gun and leaves.
Yeah.
And Shaggy's like, "Okay, cool, bye, Mr. Police Officer, man. Thanks for saving my life." Oh, and then there's a mechanic who gets up from taking a shit and looks and sees the puke on the guy's head. That's the
Right.
whole scene. I don't understand it.
And
I don't need to
then
understand it though.
and then you have the cop, right, who leaves the dump, and then he sees the Don in a limo, right? And he like knocks on the or he gets out of his car and he goes and he knocks on the window, and the Don rolls down the window and he gives them the gun. He throws them the gun, right?
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, well, I don't need this fucking gun because I'm a cop, yada yada." And the guy, I feel like the Don says something like, "You're a piece of shit," this or that. And then the guy says, "All right, let's settle it." And then he's like, "Drive, driver, drive."
And this is after he like looks at the dump and you hear the like disembodied laugh of the Hobo King. I thought that was pretty cool
Oh yeah,
because
that's
it's kind
true.
of like, like, yeah, in Jaws where it's like you're looking at the horizon, you're like, "I'm gonna get that. That's my big shark, my big white whale or whatever. I'm gonna get that fuck."
Yeah. And then I feel like at this point you think the cop is going to leave, but then he turns around and goes back into the dump, right?
Yep.
Because the hobo king laughs and he's like, "Oh, okay, well I'm going to settle it." And you're like, "Oh shit. This is going to be a major turning point in this film because this is like somewhat of a big plot, right? And we're going to follow the cop and everything's going to be good. He's going to become sergeant and he's gonna live out his days being a fucking badass. But no, what happens next, Jake?
He dies. He gets stabbed with the bone knife and dies. It's a pretty decent little fight scene though. I'll give him that.
It is cool. I feel like anytime they show a close up of somebody getting their head smashed into the ground, it goes really slow motion. And it's almost like they're getting their head pounded into like a pillow. Like it shows it off screen, like the head getting smashed into the ground. And it's really slow and kind of clunky.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you get what goes on.
And then he pisses on the cop.
And he
So
pisses on
right
the
after
cop.
we're like, man, the cop should have pissed on this guy. He pisses on the cop. You're like, all right, that makes perfect sense to me. So then we cut. One of the hobos is buying Viper. The clerk calls him Prick Lips, who, oh, excuse me, it's the original hobo. The clerk calls him Prick Lips. Tells the guy to
The
go
hobo
fuck his
says, "Go
dog.
fuck a dog,"
And
right?
then he says, I wouldn't let you fuck my dog. I'm just like, what?
Yeah. I feel
You
like
just had a business transaction. This is capitalism. You just move on.
I feel like some of these quotes, I don't know, something about this totally screams elementary school kids, like, creating the like commentary. Like, okay, well, you're a dick face. Ah, ha, 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 ha," and then a bunch of kids laughing, and they're just trying to come up with like stupid cuss words that don't really make sense,
Yeah,
right?
I don't understand it either. And this is, remember in the interview I talked about, the producer being like, there's a lot of intelligence here. Like, I don't know if you know this, there's a lot of intelligence.
Right. I'm
Ugh.
surprised nobody was called Chode Guzzler.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to move on? Showed
Was
Guzzler?
Chode Guzzler. Yeah, man. So the hobo, right? He takes off and he drinks the Viper, right? And this is where he walks around the corner and he is this where he takes a drink next to the dumpster, right? It's the fat guy who ends up like exploding,
Yeah,
right?
and they're on the opposite sides of
Right.
Orinoco.
So you have Shaggy, it's on one side of the dumpster, and he's on the other, right? And I want to say they pull a Willy Wonka here, right?
Oh, and he balloons up and pops? Yeah,
He almost is blue too. I think he's blue.
a
He
little
might
bit.
have like a blue outfit
A
on.
blue hue, but no, it's a white t-shirt and blue jeans.
Oh, my bad.
It's okay.
No.
Well, it's actually it's not a white t-shirt. It's a white undershirt and there's like a blue like mechanic shirt on top of it.
I think he expands to the level where wherever the fuck Violet.
Beauregard.
Violet's turning violet. Yeah, so he blows up like a fucking blueberry, right?
Mhm.
And then his insides are for some reason yellow, and they explode.
I think
And
it's
it's
supposed to
funny
be like
because
that.
Shaggy is like saying, "Get away from me! Get away from me!" And you're like, "Dude, turn around and run the fuck away." Instead, he's literally like 2 feet away, and he's like, "Ah, get away from me! Get away!" And then he explodes, and there's like acidic blood going everywhere.
Which is good consistency when it touches his leg. Like you can tell that he's at least acting as though it's burning him, which is it was one of the more subtle points of the movie.
Right, and then so this is where you find out that this is where Shaggy finds out that the Viper is killing people.
Yeah. And so
Right.
this is where he runs back to the liquor store, but he has a nice little detour remember the guy Wiz who kicked his ass, who, oh yeah, we forgot to mention this. He gets arrested by the cops, thrown into the van with a bunch of prostitutes.
I don't know what the dialogue was between him and the prostitutes because it kind of was lost to me. I feel
Makes no
like the
sense.
audio didn't really come through that
I don't
much.
even know what it is.
But yeah.
So the punchline is that the cops give him new clothes and shower him, and then he
Yeah,
ends
and
up
he
back
was
with the
so upset about it, right? He's like, "Don't give me a shower! Don't give me a shower!" And you're like, I don't understand what's going on with this."
Is it your magic power? Is it your Samson's locks? I don't know what's fucking happening. So he's in his like Mr. Rogers type get up, digging through trash, and then Shaggy's like, "Oh, I got the thing to fix you,
Right?
fuck
So then he
balls."
totally has this grand scheme of how he's gonna get Wizzy to drink this. And then Wizzy like takes it, and then his
Well, so he's like,
gas
I think he's
mask
like
friend comes, right?
Wizzy's a homo or something like that, and then he gets his ass kicked again, but this time on purpose.
Gas mask friend comes, and he's like,
Almost ruins the whole thing.
yeah, he takes Viper back, and he's like, "Don't worry, bro, I got you."
He's like, "Here, take a sip," and he's like, "No."
He's like, "Let Wizzy take the Viper. Let Wizzy take the Viper." And you're like, he's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
And then,
And then,
punk!
dude, he fucking knocks his ass out with like a metal pipe to the
Yep.
dome. And then Wizzy takes it, right? And then he's like, "No, Wizzy, please don't. I need that to get by." And he's like, "Fuck you, dude. I'm gonna ruin your day." And he just takes a fat swig, and then fuck, dude, he goes down hard.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So he it's weird. He says something racist to his own friend. And then do you remember in Saturday morning cartoons when people would like ostensibly die, but then they'd have to say something that they were alive just to make sure it was okay? Like I
Mm.
vividly remember watching X-Men and like Apocalypse blowing up a tank, but then there's a person like crawling out of the tank that clearly just exploded because like people can't die. So when he gives the expository information, when he's like talking to gas mask guy on the ground, he's like, "Oh yeah, you're alive. Okay, good. Goodbye." And I was like, he could have been dead. Why are we making him alive? Did you
Yeah,
notice that was kind of weird to me?
yeah, that was a little weird.
His sacrifice was not even a sacrifice. So then we move on, and he finally gets his head on straight, and he runs to the liquor store guy to try and tell him, "Hey, this Viper is toxic."
But then apparently he's a little too late
Yep.
because Ed's like, "I don't know what the fuck the big deal is about this Viper, but I guess I gotta try some for my own." Right? Yeah. What happens?
So then as Fred's or Shaggy is getting to the liquor store, you have the liquor store guy coming out, oozing, blowing up.
Orange. It's like orange.
Yeah.
I feel like it's fun that they're using every color of the rainbow. They're like, "Okay, which one haven't we done yet?
This is a
Purple?
Skittles commercial.
Yellow, green." I don't think they did green. Was green in the first toilet guy?
A little bit,
A little
but
bit.
like it's more blue, more like a
Red?
teal.
Was there red?
No, I think that's too bland. I think they went all crazy stuff.
The guy, the hobo king at the end, has red hands.
I think that's because he killed the cop.
Interesting. Red, orange. One of the guys was orange.
Red,
They have
orange,
yellow. Green is part of the toilet. Blue was the first guy was blue. basically right off the bat. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. And they have purple.
Yep.
Yeah, they have every color of the rainbow. I like it.
So they cut back to the dump, and you have a couple of the homeless guys playing with the cop stuff, which is pretty dark. He's playing with the handcuffs and everything, and the gun. They throw the hobo king some of the Viper, which he doesn't drink yet, but it's implied that he's going to. There's a weird part where the kid is looking up Wendy's skirt, and then
Oh, dude, that's so weird. It's supposed to be almost like playful, like yeah, I like you, you like me, but it just it doesn't come out that
because
way.
her face isn't reading like do this. She's like looking at him like I don't know. It's
Yeah,
weird. It
it's really
reminded me. Have you seen Psycho 4?
is that the one with Mila Kunis?
No, you're thinking American Psycho 2.
Oh, damn it.
Psycho 4 is the one where it's like a made for TV HBO movie where it implies that like Norman's mom was like kind of like incestuous and she's trying to get him to like rub oil on her thigh and he starts to kind of get aroused and she's like, "You fucking pervert."
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was kind of like that where she was like entrapping him to be aroused.
I don't know,
It
man.
was not good.
The whole part was really weird.
Let's move on, shall we? I don't want to feel this way in my nether realm. So she takes him to the office and she starts to try and get like the bone zone going.
And then you see pedo boobs.
Hmm.
Yep.
Not as good as the boobs of the lady who gets mauled to death by hobos.
No, definitely not.
I think that the hierarchy of boobs in this movie go mauled to death by hobos, fire escape lady, then
Yeah,
Wendy.
I was gonna say it's kind of a close first and second between fire escape boobs and girl getting fucking destroyed by a bunch of hobo boobs.
Yeah, I think it's
And
fair.
then it's pedo and like way, way last. So that's the hierarchy of boobs.
Yep. So
True. There are hold on. We had another point. We can't knock the hierarchy of dicks. So there are
oh, it's clearly the guy who gets chucked first.
the
That
guy
thing's
that gets
huge.
it is. It is true. And it's thrown around and you could imagine when it's cut off of a body, there's no blood going to it anymore, so it's somewhat flaccid, but it's still really big. So I'd have to agree with you.
Thumbs up.
So it goes flaccid,
Stare guy.
super, super big, um, fucking what would you call it? Football dick, uh, baseball dick, football dick. I don't know. Go long, and then it would be stare dick.
Stare dick.
There's really only two, so I guess there's not that much of a
Well, there still has
hierarchy.
to be a hierarchy though.
Yeah, that's true. Moving on.
Moving on. So the kid's running away. Uh
Well, first you have Bronson, fucking Hobo King, plowing through the door, and he blasts through that door like it's made of cardboard, which it
probably
probably
was.
is.
So he's chasing the kid around. There's a couple like weird scenes of him like hiding amongst stuff, and then the guy pops out of nowhere, and you're like, "No, you didn't pop out of nowhere, bro. Like you were clearly there. You're all a giant person." And
So
he
he
yells at him, "Fucking little street trash!" And all I could think of was Aladdin. It was weird. I was
that's
like, I
good.
haven't seen this movie in 20 years. Why is my brain doing this to me?
So he makes it downstairs, and then you have Hobo King who's like slowly walking down the stairs to face him, and then Shaggy comes out of nowhere, and he's like, "Don't worry, bro, I got you, because this is my redeeming quality." And he
He's
fucking
like, Zoinks! So-
so he throws the Viper at fucking Hobo King's face, right? It smashes, breaks all over the side of his face. You can see that the acid just eats the side of his face away, and it
pretty
gets
cool.
on his hands as well.
Yeah, like a chunk of his face comes off. That's probably my favorite part of that scene.
Yeah, that's really cool. So it shows them okay, clearly this isn't stopping Hobo King. So they end up running some more, right? And
Of course.
it's like the fucking
Terminator.
it's like the mist what is it called? The mystery gang? The
Mystery Machine?
well, what are they called? The gang from Scooby Doo. The were they called something?
Scooby's Pussy Posse.
God damn it. Anyways, it shows them basically running away, and I imagine like it's like one of the guys chasing them through the hallways. And it's like they go through one hallway and then they come out the other one, and then they're chasing the bad guy through one hallway, and then yeah, shenanigans ensues. And then you have
So Hobo
the
King
guy.
throws a little kid,
He
and he
throws a
lands
little
into some
kid, right?
canisters. Yeah.
And then he's beating the shit out of Shaggy, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Shaggy got no game.
yeah. Shaggy's getting fucked up.
So the little brother aims the tank at the guy and hits the top of it off, and it's
And
pressurized air, and it shoots like a goddamn torpedo.
you know what's funny is I have all of those tanks at work, and I want to try it now. I mean, it's not a valid excuse.
Well, I love it because it didn't blow up. And that's the thing that you always see in movies, those things, and they don't blow up.
No, no, but it did clearly take his head off.
It's pretty dope.
It was fucking
And then
cool.
the head is animatronic, and it like looks up at her Wendy the pedo.
I feel like it's like as she's walking over him, he's
It does
looking
an
up her
upskirt.
shirt or up her shirt, her skirt. Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's pretty great, right?
Yeah.
It's good consistency where it's like, he's just excuse me, I have something in my throat. Evil to the end.
Yes, sir. Then then it pans over to
Pedo, and she's getting in the kid's pants again.
is it really?
Yeah, she crawls over to him, and they're like, "Ugh."
Oh, that's so gross.
Not good.
I'm wondering if it's like my fucking mind just blocking all of that out. I'm just like, I don't remember that at all because I'm like, la 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 la. Nope, don't even see it. That's gross. Then it goes to the Don, right? Where he has the fucking doorman like tied up.
Yep, with
Yeah.
his two goons.
That's so good. I really like that because at first I was thinking like, oh, dude, the Don is getting away with just being a complete douche,
Yeah.
right? And for the most part, he does until he's just like, oh, well, what the fuck is this? Let me take a swig of this shit.
He finds the Viper on the guy and then criticizes his goons, and he's like, "Why didn't you guys find this? This could have been a gun or something that could have shot me and my cane." And then he melts.
And then he melts. And then the doorman's like, sweet, am I the Gotti now?
I'm the Don. You all have to listen to me, you fucks. And then it cuts to the Don singing a parody of "I Did It My Way" with street trash lyrics.
I think at this point I turned it off and went to bed.
Well, it's the end of the
Because
movie.
I don't remember any of that either.
Oh yeah.
No.
And some of the credits are great. There's one of them. "Thanks, Anita, for taking me to see I Drink Your Blood when I was 6." So that's, kind of fun. Well, shall we? I did a bunch of notes on the short film, but we've already kind of talked about it. So let's move on.
Do you want to go to the pantheon of where we would rank this?
Yes, I would.
All right. So I feel like it's very clearly it's a trashic.
Correct.
I feel like it's somewhere in between. And I'm not saying this and you're not agreeing with me as in like we came to this conclusion beforehand. This is me thinking this and then you coming to the conclusion also.
Correct.
Right? Okay. Because when I say it,
You're
and
not
then-
speaking for me.
Right. When I say it and you say correct, I feel it almost sounds like we're both agreeing at it like beforehand.
Well, I'm telling you that
Before-
you are correct. I would tell you if you were wrong. If I had a strong opinion of this movie, I would tell you.
Okay. Okay.
Like, I was worried when we were texting about it last night. I thought for sure you were going to say it was a tragic, and I was like, no, this is not Ice Cream Man. There is way more meat
Yes.
on the bone.
And that's what's beautiful about seeing something like Ice Cream Man and then following it up with this is you can see such a contrast between
Oh
the two.
yeah.
So it's
There's
definitely
no vision behind Ice Cream Man. It's just like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if there was like an Ice Cream Man, like kill people?
But you know what's great is in Ice Cream Man, it is Ron Howard's brother. He has an IMDb profile. Okay, that's what makes that movie so much worse.
Yeah. What like this movie does with less what that couldn't. So maybe instead of making his shitty little remark about comparing it to Toxic Avenger, he should have compared it to a movie that would come out 8 years later in the Ice Cream Man.
Yeah,
Or
agreed.
excuse me, not the Ice Cream Man, it's just Ice Cream Man. I corrected myself, so you can't. Haha, suck a dick.
So when it comes to Trashics,
It's not beating Blood Diner. Sorry, it's not happening.
It's not. Unfortunately, Blood Diner is here to stay.
What do you mean, unfortunately?
Well,
I could do
mean,
that movie once a month and be happy.
as far as having a little bit of a difference in
Diversity, an old
yeah,
wooden ship.
exactly. Something to change it up a bit. It's not gonna work.
It's not happening.
Blood Diner all the way.
Yep, yeah, you better be a classic or a tragic because you're not taking Trashic away from us. And for those of you who don't know what the fuck we're talking about, if this is your first episode for some god awful reason,
Watch Blood Diner.
classic, good, good, Trashic, good, bad, tragic, bad, bad. Let's move on. Fan question / commentary. Shall we get into it?
Let's do it.
I tried to develop the Reddit user base.
I see
So,
that.
We have Jim from the Fifth Gala. I love street trash. The first time I saw it, I didn't really know what to make of it. It was unlike any film I'd ever seen before. Well, that was what my brain was telling me. Upon watching it again, I realized just how good it was. This is a Troma film without having the name to carry. It's also one of the brightest and most colorful exploitation films I've ever seen. Since that rewatch, I have made it a point to watch it once a year. I think it's a good policy. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any notes as far as we shared our notes with some other podcasts on the network as far as like the way that we categorize our films and everything, and I put this as a Troma film knowing full well it's not a Troma film, but just because it's kind of in that category. And Matt from Cult Classic Mania had to make it a point to say it's not a Troma film, and I knew it's not a Troma film, and he's really rude about it. My point to you, Ryan, is if you didn't call it a melt movie, what would you call this? It's honorarily a Troma film, right?
Yeah, agreed. It's a melt film. That's what comes to mind. So
Patty melts, tuna melts.
patty mayonnaise.
Ooh, Doug Funny. Rule 34. No?
I don't
Okay.
know what that is.
Bullshit, you don't know what Rule 34 is.
No.
Rule 34 of the internet is there is porn of everything, and if there's not, you have to make it.
Oh no. Is there a patty mayonnaise Doug Funny porn?
What do you think how do you think she got her last name?
Oh no.
Oh no.
Patty mayonnaise forever unclean.
Yeah, you don't want to see what her and Roger Plotz were getting up to. It's scat porn.
Oh yeah, and I guess that makes sense where you get Skeeter. Skeet.
User Germ Adolescent. I have a homeless area near my house with debris and trash used as housing. They are always acting crazy and getting arrested. I always think of street trash. 10 out of 10.
Do you think he really wants to like leave out some poisonous fucking substance disguised as liquor to get rid of the homeless people around his house?
I think he does.
Wow.
I think that's his plan. But we have evidence here.
Can't be mad at it.
We're on the case, Johnny Law, and if you need us to, we will turn in Germ Adolescent. Last one at user NOSSB. It's a great movie, and Lloyd Kaufman hates it. As per all I know about filmmaking, I learned from The Toxic Avenger and the director's commentary on the original release of Toxic Avenger. I can't blame him for hating this movie, though, because it kind of, I'm not saying out Toxic Avengers by any stretch of the means, but it's kind of like,
it's in the same category.
it's like how there's X-Files and then there's Millennium, where you're like, they're kind of different, but they're kind of the exact fucking
right,
same.
so then you get the casual who's like, oh yeah, this is totally similar to Toxic. And then the guy's just like, I fucking hate you so much.
Pretty much. I mean, Lloyd Kaufman's made his career out of being this provocateur, and then for somebody else to do it and just kind of be lumped in,
Yeah.
it kind of homogenizes it. So I guess that's fair.
Don't associate.
And then what's his fucking face? The producer guy. What's his name? I have it written down. Farrell.
Oh, I thought it was a Moreau's guy.
This is great video. Frank Farrell, when he's being as pretentious as he is about the Toxic Avenger, I'm like, nah, dog. Don't play me like that.
Like I said, the best part was the comedic fucking dick comment.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the first. Like we talked about. Apparently that goes to RoboCop.
RoboCop?
Brobocop.
I still want that shirt. If anybody wants to buy me this shirt and send it to our P.O. box, please let me know. It's a shirt where it says, remember that time RoboCop shot the guy in the dick? It's a pretty good shirt.
That's really good. I'd totally wear the same shirt, and we can totally wear it together.
So Brian and I are both
hand in hand.
larges. Are you an extra large or just a large? You're a large, right?
Extra large.
Okay. Extra large for Brian, large for Jake. I like soft fabrics. I'm not into that whole like Gildan shirt. It's a little too crunchy for me.
Give me that soft shit.
Yeah, so that's one of the things we're being very picky on about trying to design our shirts. We want to make sure it's good quality, and American Apparel doesn't exist because the guy's a rapist, but whatever. Moving on. Brian, what'd you think of this episode?
I liked it.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect going into it. Never seen the film. And just based off of the cover of the film
Yeah.
with the Meltman in the toilet and the flatulence within the first 5 minutes, I knew I was gonna enjoy it. So, yeah, I really digged it. What do you think?
I thought it was fun, and I thought this experience was really fun. For those of you who are only listening on an audio platform, thanks very much for your patience. It's a little bit of a weird recording circumstance. For those of you who are watching, again, thank you. I don't know which camera I'm looking at. This is our first time exploring it. We're trying to give you guys the best content we can. Hey, I'm pointing at you. Uh, we want to make sure that we're making this as a diverse and fun experience. We are forever going to be a podcast. Video we're looking at is just kind of an added bonus for people who wanted to explore it with YouTube, to see us, to engage with us.
We hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, and if you have feedback or constructive criticism or tips on how to improve, let us know. Slasherspod at Gmail, Slasherspod on Instagram, Slasherspod on Reddit. It's harder not to find us than it is to find us at this point.
Right, and I'm definitely not above, asking, going on piggybacking what Jake was saying as far as any tips or tricks that we can use. If you have any stuff you wanna give us to make our stuff better, definitely give it to us,
Yeah, if you
and
have
we'll
like
send our PO box.
a $10,000 camera, I will take it. I will use it and I will say your name out loud. That's one of the things we have a Patreon we've never, pimped out on this show. But when we do start doing Patreon stuff, I'm fully willing to do a complete inventory of all monies that come in and show
Oh,
you that
it's going to the show.
exactly. My wife and I had joked about like tattoo money or movie ticket money, and it's like, no, I have enough tattoos. I haven't
Although,
accessed
to be fair, I need to get a show tattoo. I mean, I hate to jump on board, and say, like, we're copying, Copulars Must Die, or Copulars Die First,
Yeah.
but,
Well, to be fair, I'm the first person to
true.
get a show related tattoo. They're just fun. Brian owes me one. He's going to be getting a Gage tattoo pretty soon.
I am getting a Gage
Little
tattoo
Gage with his bulbous head and a scalpel.
with a nice little scar across the face.
No
It's gonna
fair.
Yeah, it's gonna have a little bubble that says "No fair, no fair," all in caps locks.
Brian, are you a fan of Transformers?
Eh.
See, because I'm a big fan of the original Transformers series, and so when I made that meme about Gage getting sniped by Optimus Prime, if you were a
That's so
Transformers
good.
fan, I'd insist on you getting that
That's
instead.
so good. I would totally get it because it's fucking clever as shit.
It's all yours, my friend.
Yeah.
Let's set a date.
All right, I'm down.
Dope. All right, Brian. Say goodbye to these fucks.
All right, goodbye, fucks. Nah, just kidding. So, I'll leave it with, if you ain't watching them dying, you ain't really trying.
And for Brian, this is Jake, reminding you to go out there and do something you love. And remember that all work and no power play makes Jack a dull boy.